So today I want to talk to you about the negative cycle and breaking down the negative cycle. Once we break down the negative cycle, we can use that same breakdown to create a positive cycle. So I'm breaking it down the simplest way that um, that I have found, and that is into thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Oops. Thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and needs. So, um, thoughts, according to the Buddha from the book of Dhammapada, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts become our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind, as cited in Life Loves You from Louise Hay and Robert Holden. And that's from 2015. Cognitive behavioral therapy says of our thoughts that our thoughts are not our reality. A lot of us think that they are, and that's when it becomes problematic. The self-fulfilling prophecy says that our thoughts can become our reality. International best-selling author Louise Hay says we can choose our thoughts, and the present moment is the point of power. Eckhart Tolle, in his book The Power of Now from 1999, also says that the present moment is the point of power. So the idea is that if we can provide enough love and acceptance to our partner, then we can both come into the present moment with our hearts open. And if we have any protectors, this is from internal family systems, like our protector parts are the parts that get angry and frustrated. And those are the anger and the frustration is what keeps us in the negative cycle. So if we have any protectors that are active, we can just ask them to take a step back. The present moment has all the potential for creating new experiences. And those new experiences are something that you can believe in and recreate, which can change your thoughts, and then it can change your reality. So you can actually break through these negative cycles. You can resolve whatever it is that you're struggling with. And thoughts, negative thinking and thinking, my partner is trying to hurt me, my partner doesn't understand me, thinking negative thoughts about your partner and what's happening for them is just going to sustain you in the cycle. And I'm sure whether you're aware of those negative thoughts or not, if you can tune into them and become aware of them, then oftentimes you can change them to something that's a little bit better at least. But we're going to talk about that when we get into the positive cycle. So the next part is primary and secondary emotions. So in the model that I learned, which is called Emotionally Focused Therapy, and it's by Sue Johnson, they break it into pursuers and distancers. So pursuers are usually in attachment style are the anxious pursuers. They have like an anxious attachment style, and oftentimes, and this is not always true, but oftentimes they are the females in the relationship. But that can change, and it also depends on what the topic of the argument is. So we have secondary emotions and primary emotions. And our secondary emotions are anger and frustration, and that they're usually covering up the primary emotions, which are more vulnerable. And primary emotions for pursuers are often loneliness, desperation, disconnection, feeling unimportant, invisible, fear, feeling pushed away, rejected, or shut out. And that's from my supervisor, Heidi Siebert. Withdrawers often feel pressure, confused, lost, numb, frozen, empty, judged, criticized, blamed, inadequate, unworthy, like a failure, rejected, fear, and shame. That's also from Heidi Siebert. So all of those feelings, I wanted to just say about the withdrawers. So withdrawers are usually the avoidant withdrawers. So they have an avoidant attachment style, and those are some of the feelings that they experience. So now we're going to talk about pursuers and withdrawers in terms of behaviors. So behaviors of withdrawers. First, I want to say what the goal is for withdrawers, because I think it's easy for us to judge other people based on their behavior. But if you know that the goal is to avoid conflict, then it's harder to experience them as bad or wrong, because you can see that they have really a good goal and a good intention. They're just trying to avoid conflict. They don't want to fight. They don't want to argue. Argument is disconnection, and argument can be like abandonment. It can lead to abandonment. So you could see why they would want to avoid conflict, and these are the strategies that they use. So according to John Gottman, they use defensiveness and stonewalling. The antidotes for that, according to Gottman, are taking responsibility, accepting your partner's perspective, and apologizing, taking a break and self-soothing, but making a plan with your partner to come back to the discussion. Okay, so in EFT, or emotionally focused therapy, the behaviors are described as pulling away, defending or explaining, walking away, shutting it down, dismissing, minimizing, invalidating, avoiding conflict, becoming cold or aloof, leaving, withdrawing, getting quiet, and clamming up. Gaslighting is a tactic in which a person or an entity, in order to gain more power, makes a victim question their reality. That's according to Stephanie A. Sarkis, PhD, and that's from Here, There, and Everywhere, Psychology Today, 11 Warning Signs of Gaslighting, posted January 22nd, 2017. Now, everybody's talking about gaslighting and how gaslighters are so bad. Gaslighting is a strategy to avoid conflict. It's something that somebody's learned, and they're desperate to avoid conflict. Probably they're desperate to not get in touch with shame that they're feeling. So I'm not going to judge people that gaslight. It's something that they need to learn a different strategy, and they need to learn to feel safe so that they can be in the present moment and not need that strategy. But people that gaslight other people are not bad people. Okay, so pursuer behaviors. Now, pursuers are also not bad people, but pursuer behaviors are not. They also lead to misperceptions of the person is wrong, like they're just wrong, and that's bad behavior. So pursuers' goal is to connect, but their behaviors are not connective behaviors. So they're going to use behaviors like criticism, according to Gottman, verbally attacking personality or character, and contempt, according to Gottman, attacking the sense of self with an intent to insult or abuse. John, anytime you attack the self, it leads to shame, and shame, nobody wants to feel shame. So John Gottman says, after working through the 7 principles, which is his book, it is probably very clear to you that there is no such thing as constructive criticism. I would agree. He further states, expressions of thanksgiving and praise are the antidotes to the poison of criticism and its deadly cousin, contempt. And that's from his book, The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work, I think it's called, 1999, and that's page 264. According to EFT, the behaviors of pursuers are criticizing, blaming, nagging, questioning, attacking, and complaining. And you can easily see why partners are always like blaming each other and making each other the problem. But if you understand that the goals of pursuers is to connect and the goals of withdrawers are to avoid conflict, it's harder to think of them as just bad people, which isn't helpful to anyone. Okay, so those are the behaviors that get us stuck in the negative cycle. The attachment needs. So according to Sue Johnson and her model, Emotionally Focused Couples Therapy, which has a 70 to 80% success rate and is an amazing model for therapy. I've used it with all my couples, and I probably have about an 80% success rate, if not higher. So according to Sue Johnson, the hidden agenda in couples arguments are these huge attachment questions, what she calls the ARE: emotional accessibility, emotional responsiveness, and emotional engagement. That's from a YouTube video where Sue Johnson explains attachment theory in 9 minutes, March 31st, 2020, and Creating Relationships That Last DVD. So these questions are: do I matter to you? Will you respond to me when I need you? Can I access you? Will you come close and engage with me? Will you come when I call? Are you there for me? And can I count on you? So all arguments, or all these negative cycles, what's underlying them are these attachment needs. So you could be arguing about whether somebody took the garbage out or not, somebody being late, children, finances. What's really underneath all of those arguments are these primary attachment needs. And that's why we can simplify these arguments, break them down, and just change what we do. And I'm not going to make it sound like it does sound like it's easy in theory, but when you actually practice it, it's hard. You have to actually practice it. And I think that's the best that we can do. We just keep practicing and we get better and better, and arguments become less intense. You have more faith in your relationship and that you can work things out. And so you can lower the intensity, and you know that you can work things out with your partner. This works. Okay, so we went through all of the different parts that we broke it into. We went through thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and needs. So now we're going to do that again using a positive cycle, or to create a positive cycle. So positive cycle. So I just gave you some suggestions for positive thoughts, but basically you need to be aware of your negative thoughts, and you can just tweak them or change them slightly or radically, or just do the opposite to get your positive thought. So some that I came up with are: my partner is doing the best that they can. My partner has good intentions. My partner has been injured too. My partner doesn't want to hurt me. My partner may be protecting themselves. We can work this out. My partner is willing to work with me. We can take a break and figure out how to resolve this. And many, many more. It's really just a matter of generating as many positive thoughts as you can. So the second one is the feelings, positive cycle feelings. So positive cycle feelings, I mean, of course, love. But sometimes love is hard to get to, especially when you're in the middle of an argument. So gratitude is something that you can generate and be really intentional in generating. I wake up every morning and I think of, the first thing that I do is think of everything that I'm grateful for. It focuses me in a positive way, and then I'm thinking positively, and I'm feeling more positively. And according to Brené Brown, gratitude is the variable that is the only variable basically that leads people into joy. So it's the common variable that people that are able to lean into joy have. They have a sense of gratitude. So if you can't do love or gratitude, you can at least go to a more vulnerable feeling. So like I said before, the secondary feelings of anger and frustration are what keeps you in the negative cycle. So if you can get to the more primary feelings of sadness, fear, and shame, those are the feelings that are going to connect you to your partner. And that's research from Sue Johnson. And I've seen it with all my couples. When you go to a place, a real primary place of hurt, sadness, fear, shame, your partner can't help but be drawn to you and want to care for you, if you've generated the safety in the relationship beforehand, that emotional safety. And then taking care of your own feelings before you go and talk to your partner. So you have to have some sense of what you're feeling in your body and know how to take care of it. Because if you don't, your feelings come out with such an intensity and expectation of your partner to take care of them that it's just too much for your partner. And this is from Internal Family Systems, which is Richard Schwartz. He talks about how we do need to care for our own feelings first, so that our partner has a chance to help us and help us care for our feelings. So understanding what's happening for you in your body, getting in touch with that, and knowing how to take care of your own feelings has to happen first. And then you can ask your partner to care for your feelings. And I did another video on how to care for your feelings, I think. If not, I will definitely do that. Okay, so that's positive cycle feelings. And then behaviors. So ideally what you want to happen is you want to, when you reach, you want your partner to respond. And that also comes from Sue Johnson, Emotionally Focused Couples Therapy. So you also want to be able to give and receive. And a lot of times people have issues with giving and receiving. Harville Hendrix, a famous couples therapist and researcher, found that most couples have trouble receiving. And because of that trouble receiving, if you can't give and receive love, your relationship is not going to work. So you have to be able to both give and receive. And there's different parts to giving and receiving and places where people get hung up. I will probably do a video on that too, giving and receiving. So caring for your own emotions, caring for your partner's emotions, and then listening and communicating your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So that's positive cycle behaviors. Listening is a big one. And I think a lot of my couples say that when they're starting to have a positive cycle and I ask them what's different, a lot of them say, I'm listening more. So that's a big one. Needs. Okay, so you have to be aware of what your needs are and clear on your needs, and then you have to be able to express them clearly. And this is also where a lot of us get hung up. So especially like in my case, when I expressed my needs and they weren't met in my family of origin, my family that I grew up in, I learned that I wasn't going to get my needs met. I had to meet them by myself. So, in learning that, when I went into a relationship with my husband, it became very difficult for me to ask for what I need. And I would try to suppress my needs the way that I did in my family of origin. But it didn't work. It doesn't work after a while. Your needs are your needs, and you actually can't change what your needs are. You have certain needs, and those are your needs. So you just need to learn how to express them and ask for them to be met. And yes, sometimes they won't be met by your partner. Sometimes you'll have to meet them yourself. But usually if you understand your needs and you develop a good relationship with your partner, they're going to want to meet your needs. So here are some ways that you can, or some positive cycle needs. First, ask yourself, what do you need? And then be clear and ask for it clearly. So sometimes we're clear on what our need is, but the way that we ask for it is maybe in anger. Like, I need you to take out the trash. Like, who's going to want to do that? Like, I need you to listen to me. I need you to help me problem solve. I need your perspective. I need your understanding. I need a hug. Can I have a hug? I need some space to understand my own feelings so that I can communicate better to you. So those are some positive cycle needs. So I would keep a journal. I do this actually, because when I get in an argument with my husband, and especially like when we first started doing this, I would feel really hopeless and helpless and discouraged, and it was the only thing that made me feel like I had some sort of control over the situation. So I would journal and I would write down the negative cycle, what I thought it was, at least my part of it. And then I would later on, when I was calm and my partner was calm, I would go show it to him and be like, okay, this is what was happening for me. What was happening for you? And then we gradually have been able to work through a lot of our negative cycles. I'm not going to say that we don't have them anymore, but I will say that the intensity is much lower, and we do have a very strong belief that we can work things out. So we're calmer with each other, and we're more loving with each other, and we look each other in the eye, and we stay very present in the moment because we feel safe with each other. And that's what you want to be able to create. But it takes a lot of practice. And you can do it. Okay, thank you.